we got to bring in another guy who's way too smart for us. Guy named Sean Kerner. Do we not?
We do. Yes. Notable injury news in the NFL entering week 14. Trevor Lawrence, that didn't look great. Have they invested in a golf cart in Florida? Say that again. Golf cart, Florida. Those two things tend to go together. Just curious. Trevor Lawrence might still be walking and limping to the hospital as we speak. Derek Carr is banged up, concussion, he's questionable. And Justin Jefferson, expected to play. Finally, those of you who have owned him in season long, or you want to play him in DFS, or you want to bet on the Vikings and give Josh Dobbs and this guy a chance to mesh. Let's bring in Kerner for On the Rocks. Sean Kerner, start with Trevor Lawrence. This isn't great. They won't go, Doug Peterson and company won't go as far as to say how long he'll be out. They're keeping it kind of murky here. Where do you stand with CJ Beathard now in the mix and the Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence hurt?
So, I mean, the look-ahead line for this game was Jags -3.5, and now it's Browns -3. Some places have it -3.5 now, so it's a 6.5 to 7 point line move involving two key numbers in three, the most important number in three. I would say going from Lawrence to CJ Beathard is probably worth about 5 points. So this 6.5 to 7 point line move seems like an overcorrection for me, especially since, Lawrence hasn't even been ruled out yet. Like you said, they're being kind of wishy-washy about his status, but, they're leaving the door open at least for this week. I'm guessing the 6.5 to 7 point line move is probably also due to the fact that, the Jags defense has got picked apart by Jake Browning in a primetime game. So I think, the Jags power rating overall probably took a hit, but I still think this is a very good defense. They ranked 6th in DVOA. They should bounce back here. And on the other side, they're facing Joe Flacco, who looked kind of rusty last week. They got, blown out by the Rams. I don't think it probably should have been a blowout. But, the Browns might be without, or they are without Amari Cooper right now, who's in concussion protocol. So I just don't see, enough here to warrant a 6.5 to 7 point line move. I mean, CJ Beathard is fine as a backup quarterback, maybe average to below average, but I don't think Lawrence has really proven himself enough yet to be worth, like 6+ points. So I think this is pretty big overreaction, and I'm very interested in the Jags +3.5 right now.
Okay.
And also too, with a total in this game, 30.5. Like that, all the way that moved through 0 and out the other side through 3. It's like feels like a billion points with that total. I want to ask you quickly, when you say something like, "Hey, I don't think Lawrence has shown that he's worth more than 6 points," or what this movement showed. Yeah. When you see that, are you someone that immediately then fires on a bet the other way, or you say, "Am I missing something?" You maybe say, call up Raybon or someone like that and say, "What do you think of Lawrence? Am I wrong on him?" Like, how does that work for you? Because I would instantly probably doubt myself in a situation like that.
If Raybon answers the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. If Raybon, I was going to say, what time of day is it or night? So won't be calling Raybon right now. I kind of know his thoughts on the situation, but I do think that this is an overcorrection. I think when it comes to this, I'm just waiting for 3.5 to be available everywhere. And then I'll probably post it, but I feel pretty confident that the Jaguars +3.5 would be a play for me here.
Fair enough.
All right. How about what's going on with Derek Carr and the potential use of Jameis Winston?
Yeah, so he took a big hit. It looks like he's dealing with multiple injuries. The most important one, obviously, is the concussion, but he's also dealing with shoulder, back, chest injuries. So he's pretty beat up right now. Even if he were to play, I think it probably makes sense to go with Jameis here. He's probably a little bit better than, a limited Derek Carr. Because, Jameis, as volatile as he is, he's one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league. He hasn't played well in limited action this year, but I would only consider him, about 1.5 point drop off from Carr. But, the reason that, Winston is very volatile, so I don't think they would want him starting necessarily against a bad team like the Panthers. They should win this game, so you don't want Winston out there chucking it deep, throwing interceptions, being volatile. So I think the way you would attack this is, if you do like the Panthers, just consider that maybe the money line. You might not need the points because he has such a wide range of outcomes. The Panthers winning the game becomes more in play as a result. And if you like the Saints, take a -5. I think he's more likely than Carr to win this game by 7 or more. So it's an interesting dynamic between the two. I also think Winston helps the over a little bit. If Carr does start, I would have the total actually drop a little bit. So it's an interesting dynamic between these two quarterbacks who have slightly different playing styles.
I mean, either one of those, hang on to your hat. I like these two teams.
Yeah.
My goodness. This next guy is it's a little personal to me because I got Jefferson a couple fantasy leagues, and I've been waiting for his return. Is Justin Jefferson coming back? And even if so, I mean, what does it matter to the Vikings themselves? We haven't seen him link up with Josh Dobbs quite yet. All we can do is try and, predict it in the best way we can. Do I put this guy in my starting lineup as I'm getting towards the playoff push here, or is he just going to be a big fat dud? How are you handicapping the situation as a guy we know is one of the best receivers in the league, but there's so many question marks?
Yeah, so when it comes to the Vikings and the betting market specifically, he's arguably the best receiver in the league, or at least top 2, I should say. So he's probably worth 1.5 to 2 points depending on the situation. But the Vikings threw the ball at a top 10 rate with Kirk Cousins weeks 1 through 8. But they've been a lot more run heavy with Josh Dobbs under center, which makes sense. But they've only thrown the ball at the 18th highest rate, so that's gonna slightly mitigate, Jefferson's impact or his potential impact on the game. So I'd say it's worth, about a point and a half here, especially since he might be somewhat limited. He is coming back from a hamstring injury. So, his impact should be around a point and a half here. In terms of fantasy, if you have him, you're absolutely starting him this week. I just wouldn't expect, top 5 production out of the gate. He's more of a wide receiver too, with obviously, top 5 upside, but we haven't seen him play with Josh Dobbs yet. Like I said, they've been more run heavy with Josh Dobbs. Even when he does drop back to pass, he's more likely to scramble than Kirk Cousins. So that's just going to lead to fewer pass attempts. And, Jordan Addison's later in his rookie season, he's going to command his target share. TJ Hawkinson is just a target monster. So, he's going to have to, fight for his targets a bit. So I wouldn't expect, high-end wide receiver 1 production out of the gate. But if you have him, welcome back, Justin Jefferson. You got to play him, obviously.
Would you say, with the line currently being Raiders +3, that Vikings having Jefferson back is already baked in?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if he wasn't playing, it should be about Vikings -1.5. Making it go up a point and a half up to the key number of 3 is probably too much. I think that this should probably be Vikings -2.5. So I am interested in the Raiders getting the key number of 3 here.
Okay. Very good. That's good
flash.
info. Because I kind of like the Raiders too this week. The
Yeah.
favorites guys in New Jersey, they were hitting on their favorite bets on Sunday night before the Sunday night game, and they discussed this game. But the Jefferson news, we hadn't known that much. All right, Kerner, I think that's it. Thank you very much. Director of Predictive Analytics, Sean Kerner on the rocks. We'll see you again soon. And we'll see you tomorrow on Green Dot Daily when you give a pick on Pittsburgh and New England.
No, I can't wait for the Steelers-Patriots game. I'm with Nick. Can't wait.
You guys.
Okay.